This pressure that comes with the block, you could end up inside of a box. When you vision I was by I am looking instead of by thought. Opportunity it doesn't not. No, that's not right there to be the cops. And all of that stress that we talking, still he's punching the clock. You think I want to sweep your floor? We take the floor. Fuck, I want to take your orders for. When your favorite star got an Audemars that's worth more than mama's car. That the shit that you want to say fuck the law. When your ranks do and your kids ball, they don't even own their own corner store. So a quarter water, so it's a quarter more. We want to be an entrepreneur. We want side checks. We want live for ourselves. We want on the next. You're too much of a drink. When you're on your own assets. So the only thing that shows is how to be an outlet. So we won't connect. Let's say hi like Ola. Listen to Jehovah. Whip up a robot. Been watching Power. Tommy and Ghost Bruh. So I need some powder. Fish scale and soda for 99 cents. Gotta pay rent, so there's only 99 cents. Make it make sense, oh, make it make sense. So there's only 99 cents. Gotta pay rent, so there's only 99 cents. Make it make sense, oh, make it make sense. Yeah, money is the motive. Repeat my history, crack cocaine just like the motif. It's plain and simple, way back when my mother hustled. It's in my blood, so I feel like it's time to rise. It's like the times when niggas died. Back then was the bad days. One plus just mad way. I was a crack baby. Tell me from my mother in the struggle. See, I love it in the smoky shop. Stuff she was selling everything in the house, goddamn. She ain't give a damn no stuff, goddamn. So much for that man. I'm had to take care of us and the things with 4 kids. The one on the way to no flip. No food in the fridge. No cold shit. Got food stamps from the neighbors. Tired with me, there's no pages. Late night, you shop both pages. Local brands to me, some mail. Kool-Aid, I both pages. And when time was the cash out, I keep lashed out. So I can take food stamps. $15 for that kid, go for that shit. Then he come with the covers, let me cover the coats. Take back what they hold us, whole world on shoulders. No food, let me get to the store, $10 in a sack, and he points to the back, say, I use it, that's all. 99 cents. Gotta pay rent, so there's only 99 cents. Make it make sense, oh, make it make sense. So there's only 99 cents. Gotta pay rent, so there's only 99 cents. Make it make sense, oh, make it make sense, yeah. So let me get this shit straight. So I gotta go take out loans to go to school, to get a job, just to pay for the loans I took out in the first place. I'm looking at this arm and hammer like I should have a hammer in my arm right goddamn now. Shit ain't make no sense. Lord, make it make sense. Goddamn. Baking soda's only 99 cents. And it's all the repent. Gotta pay rent. Baking soda's only 99 cents. Oh, make it make sense. Baking soda's only 99 cents. Gotta pay rent. Gotta pay rent. Baking soda's only 99 cents. Make it make sense. Oh, make it make sense. Yeah. understand. That's why I got the master plan. Know the power in my hand. Send the shit on demand. Better watch where you stand. Flamed up and changed up for nobody. What you know about? This ain't a rap, it's a message. Ain't a rap, it's a spec. Fake niggas like a pass. A lot of niggas infect. I came to correct. Got a whole bunch of soldiers. They move my stretch. When the rebels in the engine, all the niggas in the exit. Them niggas get the spree. I demand your attention. Cause I'm a nigga, I ain't phone. Plus you know a nigga hold it. Nigga, look how I'm rolling. Short check by the meter. He's smooth by the cleaner. Flow like Aquafina. Hit him like a self. Yeah, boy, yeah. I got it to live. I'm about to have a baby. But I still want a baby. Let's get to it. Nothing comes to a trade. I'm strictly dead. I'm all about the business. Blood is out and never ends. You came to make real. I came to make kill it. That's why I'm gonna kill it. We ain't nigga hurt. That's why I'm fishing, nigga. You need a healer. I know you can hear it. I'ma bet you a rookie. Kanye, you a Donald Trump on a pussy. I'ma get you a cookie. Ain't nothing you can tell me. I'm too ready. Let's get to it. Listen. Shalom, Yahweh Shem Al Shai Barakatah to all the brothers, Yahweh Shema Alatah, Shem Al Shai to all the sisters, Officer 500 of the Zimbabwe, the I.S.U.P.K under Commanding General YAHANNA, started out 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Welcome to tonight's Monday night history class. We're going to be going into the celebration of Victoria Day. Right, we're going to be breaking down how Victoria Day is unlawful. It is not of God. You should not be celebrating your oppressor. You should not be celebrating the queen who is responsible for the royal family, who is damn near responsible for your slavery.
Shalom Adawan, Yahweh Shem Al Shai Barakatah.
Right, so we're going to be going into Victoria Day, how it's unlawful, right? You shouldn't. You could fully shoot firecrackers, just not on the days that the oppressors celebrate, right? What? Like, Salakia. Let me gather my thoughts right quick. Like, it's not unlawful to shoot firecrackers on a Passover, right? If you made it to Texas, there was an amazing fireworks show in Texas for the Passover. That was in the celebration of the Lord freeing us out of Egypt and killing them stinking Egyptians, right? And stinking Hamites who had us in captivity. Hey, Shalom, Trooper Baraki Allah, Yahweh Shem Al Shai Barakatah.
Shalom Mark, Yahweh Shem Al Shai Barakatah.
Hey, Salakia, your volumes, like your mic levels are pretty low. Let's see if I can. Your mic levels are pretty low. You might want to try to adjust it. Right? So we're going to be going into the Victoria Day. It's the May 2-4 long weekend, right? That's what they call it now, but really it's called Victoria Day, right? From Friday to about tonight, there was fireworks being shot off in the sky. Grown men were out shooting fireworks in celebratory fashion for a celebration for an oppressor, right? They were acting like children, just shooting firecrackers for oppressors, right? There's a lot of things we're gonna go on this weekend, right? Especially with this weekend and every oppressor's holiday, there is always violence in the black community, right? There's a strong connection of violence within the black community. So I can give me one moment. Give me one moment, Baba Shop. Hey, the water for your patience. Thank you. So, especially with a lot of the violence, there is a connection between these holidays and a lot of the violence that happens in Native America. Can anybody hear me? Am I lagging?
Slack, I don't want. I can
Lagging?
hear
Can
you.
you put a
Yeah.
one in the chat?
It is a little choppy.
Okay, we'll see.
I'm not sure if that's you or me.
Now, let me see. Do the wave test. The wave test. My waves look on point. Okay, it doesn't look like I'm lagging. Right? That is the wave test. Slovakia. Right? If you're lagging, you just do the wave test. You watch that screen and see if your hands are waving on the screen at the same time. If you're doing it in real time, that is the UPK wave test. All right. So we're going to be going into the history of Victoria Day. Right. 1 second. Get that screen share for you right quick. And Akim, y'all can chime in at any time. Anytime you have anything you want to chime in with, you can chime in. To water for those who are watching, hit that like, subscribe, and share button. Drop something in our chat. Let us know where you're coming from. Let us know where you're watching from. Right? If you don't, uh, we'll try to make our way out to where you're watching from. Hit that sign in link if you want to be a brother or sister in the school. Right? If you want to be someone new, you want to not be judged on the sins of your past. You want to have a new person judge, right? For not of heaven, you want to know what it's like not to be oppressed, and you want to know what actual brotherhood and sisterhood is like. Hit that sign in. So, okay, moment. Seems like we have that. The oppressor, he never wants a little bit of delay at the moment of delay, right? This I got from Wikipedia. This Wikipedia, it has a little more insight than it does from. You could go to Britannica. There's another link in Britannica, right? Britannica.com for this Victoria Day article, but this Wikipedia, it goes a little more into detail. So we're going to use this one, right? All right, so let's get it in. So Victoria Day, right? The celebration is a federal Canadian public holiday celebrated on the last Monday preceding May 20, initially in honor of Queen Victoria's birthday, right? So this is a birthday celebration. If you're in the truth, you know that birthdays are unlawful, right? We're going to be going into precepts on that. Type your questions in. Any questions pertaining to the subject, type your questions in. Hit that like button, like, subscribe, and share. If you're Black, Hispanic, and Native American, you should be tuned into this class. If you're not on this class, like, what are you doing with your life, right? You should be tuned into the class because you're probably out there celebrating Victoria Day, not knowing what you're celebrating. What everyone should be doing for the next 2 hours if you're in Canada. You don't want to be lying to your children and having them shooting firecrackers, celebrating another god, celebrating their oppressor, right? When they're in oppression them goddamn selves. Like, why would you do that? Right? So this is a birthday. It's unlawful to celebrate birthdays. It has been since celebrated as an official birthday of Canada's sovereign, right? And they made this day a holiday, right? The holiday has been observed in Canada since at least 1845, originally falling on Victoria's actual birthday, May 24th, right? So that's the thing about this weekend. It depends on. Sometimes it could fall. They push back the date a little further, a little. They'll make it go back a few days depending on when the weekend is, right? So the weekend might not be the 24th, right? It just depends. Sometimes they have it on the 21st. It just really depends on when the week falls or when the weekend falls. The holiday has always been distinctly Canadian observance, right? And continues to be celebrated across the country. It falls on the Monday between the 18th and the 24th, inclusive. It could be on the 21st. It could be on the 24th, right? It could be on the 19th or the 18th. It just really depends on when the weekend falls, right? And so is always the penultimate Monday of May 24th in 2001, and May 23rd in 2002, 2022. So next question of right. And if you could look over to the left, this either white woman that this is the family that hates blacks and
Salakia, other one. You're on mute.
okay. All right. So as I was saying, right, Tuarak,
Uh,
this that you're looking at is Queen Victoria. She's who you celebrate when you shoot those firecrackers in the air this weekend. That is an Edomite woman. You are celebrating an Edomite woman, right? And you have your children doing it with the little sparklers in their hand, and they're like, "Daddy, Daddy, Mommy, Mommy." I just want to shoot some fireworks, and look, the lights are so pretty in the sky. The lights are so pretty in the sky. A child likes lights pretty in the sky when it's in celebratory celebration of their open enemy. Let's take that picture down for a second. Let's get back to it.
Victoria Day is a first. You know what? We're going to Officer Shariwan, bring me to Jeremiah 10.
Come.
You can start at verse 1.
Come, sir. This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 10 and verse 1. Hear ye the word which the Lord speaketh unto you, O house of Israel.
Right. So House of Israel, you need to hear this word. Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, this is for you, right? You're going through oppression and you're screaming wet and strong and Black Lives Matter and hands up, don't shoot, and you're begging to be free. But this weekend you chose to celebrate an oppressor, right? An oppressor who was responsible for horrible acts done to you. This Her family is responsible for the most devious acts done throughout the world, right? This family controlled the seas for the longest, and they were responsible for the slave ships coming in and out of ports, right? If you're Caribbean and you if you're Caribbean, you especially shouldn't be celebrating this day because like the British family has devastated devastated the Caribbean with all the sugar cane. Just look at the state of the Caribbean right now, right? If you're from Trinidad and you're tired of the East Indians being over you, you're tired of Elon being over you and beating you in the head with their billy clubs when they patrol your neighborhood and tell you that they should put feces in your food and stop selling you things over an election, you could only blame her family because her family were the ones that brought the East Indians, the children of Elon, into the Caribbean so they could be over you. Right? So whenever you got Jeremiah Salaka, you can keep reading on.
Come. Verse 2. Thus saith the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen.
Right. So the Lord is telling you, you can't do what the heathens do. You can't be like the heathens at all. Right? Learn not their ways. Celebrating birthdays is the ways of the heathen. Right? Shooting firecrackers in the sky in the name of the oppressor is the way of the heathen, right? You can finish out the verse.
And be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them.
Right. You can't be dismayed at the signs of heaven, right? This is you can use this for horoscopes and this from this precept right here from verse 2 down to where are we? Down to verse 5. Da, 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 da. So, yeah, from verse 2 down to verse 5, you could also use this for your Christmas precepts, right?
Right.
Drop that. Salakia, drop that and bring me to Genesis 40 and 20, Baba Kashan.
Come. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 40 and verse 20. And it came to pass the third day, which was Pharaoh's birthday, that he made a feast unto all his servants. And he lifted up the head of the chief butler
Right,
and
read.
of the chief baker among his servants.
Right. So we just read, be not like the heathens, right? And now we jump to Genesis 40 and 20, And we see Pharaoh. Pharaoh was having a birthday celebration, right? This is something every Black, Hispanic, and Native American loves to do. They love to party and they love to have birthdays, right? If you hear about a party in the Black, Hispanic, or Native American neighborhood, it's usually over someone's birthday, right? And they, on that day, they act like they're God, right? They make themselves into gods, where everyone's supposed to come and celebrate them, right? Who else celebrated birthdays? Nimrod's mother, right? She she made sure that Nimrod was celebrated and turned into a god, right? On his birthday. And that's how you get Christmas, right? There's also a few other holidays that they mixed in, a few other pagan days that they mixed in with Christmas, but Christmas is a celebration of Nimrod's birthday. You can't be like the heathen, right? You can't be like the heathen at all. Salakia, hold that right there. 1 second, 20. You can keep reading off.
Come on. Verse 21. And he restored the chief butler unto his butlership again. And he gave the cup unto Pharaoh's hand.
Right.
Verse
So a little backdrop on what we're reading is there was the Pharaoh. He got mad at his baker and his butler, and he put them in jail for a season, right? And what happened is when they were in jail, Joseph was in jail at the same time, right? So they were all in the guard's house and under his servantry. And what happened was the baker and the butler, they had dreams. The butler had a dream and he went to Joseph, and he said there's no one to interpret the dream. Joseph interpreted the dream and told him, listen, Pharaoh's not going to be mad at you no more. He's going to lift up your head, right? Then he went to the baker, came to him, and he told the baker said, I had a dream where birds were eating bread off the top of my head in a basket. And Joseph told the baker that you are going to be hanged. Pharaoh's going to kill you, right? He's going to murder you, and the birds are going to eat your flesh, right? And as he said that's exactly what happened, right? Read 22.
Verse 22. But he hanged the chief baker, as Joseph had interpreted to them.
Right. Read 23.
Yet did not the chief butler remember Joseph,
Right.
but
So
forgave.
so so the chief butler, he didn't remember Joseph as Joseph was telling him, right? He didn't remember him right away as Joseph was telling him. The chief butler, he just went about his business like it was nothing, right? So he went about his business as he was nothing. And as you have to go Salakia. You have to keep reading ahead if you want the rest of that story. But eventually, the Pharaoh needed his dreams interpreted, and that's when the butler remembered Joseph. Right? Again, hit that sign-in link. Right? There can only be one West. Hit that sign-in link for benefits if you want to get a new name and you want to be different. You don't want to be the same as you were before. You don't want to be judged for the sins of your past. You want to be brand new and sinless, right? Let's not forget tonight at 9 o'clock, General Yohanna, Black Watch Live, the generals with the captains, and it's going to be with the heavy hitters, right? The heavy hitters of the I.S.U.P.K. Monday night, 9 p.m., Black Watch Live. Let's not forget that, right? So we're going to leave that right there. We're going to keep going in, right? Because this is a celebration of a birthday. Everyone's going to go outside tonight. They're going to shoot their firecrackers that they have been doing all week. They're not going to know what they're celebrating, right? They're not going to know what they're worshiping, right? But they're going to do it, right? And it's like the Bible tells you, you know not what you worship, right? You know not what you worship. In the I.S.U.P.K, we know what we worship. We worship the living power, right? We don't worship our oppressors. Our oppressors aren't in our prayers. They're in our prayers for destruction, not for them to live long. We don't say long live the king, long live the queen. We don't wave Canadian flags in the air, right? We want Babylon to fall from sea to sea, right? So Kwam Yashra Allah, so Israel can rise, right? So rise Israel, right? Babylon has to fall so Israel can rise. Let's continue. Victoria Day is a federal statutory holiday as well as a holiday in the 6 of Canada's 10 provinces and all 3 of its territories. In Quebec before 2003, the Monday preceding May 25th each year was unofficially the French Fête de l'Art. A commemoration of Adam Delard does Salaki. I don't even know how to say that oppressor's name. Initiated in the 1920s to coincide with Victoria Day. In 2003, provincial legislation officially created National Patriots Day, right? So these are all the things you're celebrating. National Patriots. All right, Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, you have to ask yourself, are you a patriot of Canada? Are you a patriot of the system in Canada that has you stuck in the ghettos? Blacks, Hispanics, Slovakia, the children of Gad, Native Americans, right? The Six Nations, Wet'suwet'en, the Cree, and Slovakia. There was another one. There was another tribe that I was just talking about, but the name of the tribe is slipping my mind right now. But Native Americans, right? First Nations. You have dirty running water. You just came off a boil water alert last year, right? Why are you celebrating Victoria Day? Why are you shooting firecrackers in the air? Right? That's what you have to ask yourself. There's no schools for you, right? You don't have your own banking system, but you're gonna take all your money and buy firecrackers and shoot firecrackers in the air. Blacks and Hispanics in the ghetto, you don't have anything, right? You fight over project blocks and crack buildings, right? Only to take all the crack money that you made to go buy crates of firecrackers. And you shoot them in the air, right? When this government doesn't like you, your oppressor doesn't like you. They come up with rules to make sure that you stay in poverty.
Right.
Right. What they will do for you though is they'll legalize weed so you can smoke all the weed, you can smoke out all your brain cells. And Slovakia, I was reading a conversation. Officer 5000 of Bond, he put out a list of things he didn't like. On that list it said weed, right? And some brother commented weed, and Officer of Bond said, yeah, weed, right? He doesn't like weed. Weed is illegal to the Lord, right? And the brother said, it keeps me calm. Officer of Bond had the perfect cut for him, right? Officer of Bond said, working out, lifting weights keeps me calm, right? Give Officer of Bond a hand for that one. Because that was straight up. Working out keeps me calm. Weed keeps you calm and makes you docile, makes you not want to fight for your people, makes you see oppression and you don't want to do anything, makes you see a brother getting beat up by the police and all you can think to do is pull out your cell phone because you're weak and you have no strength to fight. So does Victoria Day. Victoria Day makes you weak. You want to celebrate your oppressor, and your oppressor is not doing anything for you. You didn't want to celebrate the Passover, but you want to celebrate the oppressor, right? You don't want to keep the laws, but you want to shoot firecrackers, right? You don't want to get with the I.S.U.P.K and wake up your people so we could build the kingdom of heaven, but them damn sonic booms is okay. Right? So we're gonna get more into that. All right. Anytime y'all want to chime in with anything, y'all go ahead. This is the history class, but you know y'all can chime in as well.
Shalom concert.
Right. Right. So this is Victoria's birthday, and because the French hate the English, they don't want to celebrate the birthday, but they have their own celebration on that day, and they call it Patriots Day. Right. Now let's get more into this history. The birthday of Queen Victoria was a day of celebration in Canada long before Confederacy, with the first legislation regarding the event being in 1845 passed by the Parliament of the Province of Canada, right, to officially recognize May 24 as the Queen's birthday. And notice they said the Province of Canada. That's to let you know Canada's been under British rule for a long time. They try to act like right now like they don't answer to the British, but the Queen is still on the money, right? And blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, when you're targeted, right? When you're targeted and false charges are thrown on you, and charges that you would normally that the oppressor would give another oppressor a ticket for, they're locking you up in jail so you can pay bail, even though they know you don't have the bail, right? You have to. They usually say it's you versus the crown, right? It's you versus the crown. The Parliament in where is it in Ottawa? They don't wear crowns in the Parliament in Ottawa. Where is that crown? That crown is in British Columbia, Slovakia. It's in it would be in London, England, right? That crown is in London, England, in Buckingham Palace, right? Where a prince can live up to 99 and drive around in Rolls Royces, right? But in the ghetto, you gotta battle those Rolls Roaches, right? You gotta battle the gang of roaches and mice in your house. You gotta suffer with your basement foundation leaking and cracked, right? You gotta be gentrified. You have to you no longer live in a townhouse with a backyard. Now they're taking that court that you lived in, they took it and put three buildings and stacked you on top of each other. If you don't believe me, just go to Lawrence Heights, go to Regent Park, and Jane and Finch is coming to you next. Let's not forget, 10 years ago they said Regent first, Lawrence Heights, and Jane and Finch. Jane and Finch will be the next community to go through gentrification. Just go look at Eglinton. All the businesses in Eglinton are closed. The Queen lives in a palace, but the black businesses are closed. Right? So what are you celebrating? Right? You don't have to have a barbecue today. You can have one tomorrow. You can have one next weekend when it's not a birthday of the Queen or of a Queen. Where were we? Salaki, bear with me. It was noted that on the date in 1854, the 35th birthday of Queen Victoria, some 5,000 residents of Canada West gathered in front of Government House, near present-day King and Simcoe Streets in Toronto, right, to give cheers to their queen. An example of typical 19th century celebration of the Queen's birthday took place on May 24, 1866. In Omimi, also in Canada West, the town mounted a day-long French fete to mark the occasion, including a gun salute at midnight, pre-dawn serenades, picnics, athletic competitions, and displays of illumination and a torchlight process, right? A torchlight process. They had a tiki light process, just like them tiki boys in the United States, right? That probably looked like a bunch of clanmen just just rolling around with tiki lights, right? Such events were common around the colony, and by 1890s, the day had become a patriotic holiday, right? So they make it seem like you have to celebrate Victoria Day to be patriotic in 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 Canada, right? Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, your nationality is an Israelite. You come from the line of Shem. You want to be patriotic to your nationality, you got to join the I.S.U.P.K, right? You got to wake up your brothers and sisters, and you got to get them to stop committing sins, right? You got to get them to stop celebrating their favorite oppressor, right? Salakia. Sidebar, right? Sidebar. Joe Biden was elected, right? Every black Hispanic voted for Joe Biden and they thought they were doing something. Joe Biden hasn't done anything for blacks and Hispanics as of yet, nor the Native Americans. But he did sign bills saying boys can wrestle girls. A boy can now turn around and say, I'm a female, and start to wrestle a female on the football team, on the wrestling team. That's what he did do, right? So what are you really celebrating? Following the death of Queen Victoria in 1991, Slovakia, in 1901, May 24th, was made by law to be known as Victoria Day. So they make laws for sin, right? That's what our oppressors do. They make laws for sin. Like again, it's legal now to smoke weed. For decades, they locked up brothers and beat brothers and killed brothers for having just a crumb of weed in their car. How many brothers got yoked up out of their cars and stopped and frisked and carded for a little bit of weed, right? They make laws to sin. Then they turned around and made it a law to celebrate Victoria Day, right? You get the day off work, and we blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are gonna revel in a day off slavery. It's such a hard slavery that we're going through right now. When they give us a day off, we're gonna party. We're gonna barbecue. We're just waiting for that day off, right? And you go tell a black, Hispanic, and Native American right now that they can't shoot firecrackers. And here are the poor excuses that they give you. Every black, Hispanic, and Native American right now, they're gonna have some poor excuse for why they want to justify them shooting firecrackers in the air. And it's such a terrible thing to hear some brothers, some sisters say, "Well, I'm not celebrating the fight. I'm not. Listen, man. Let me light this fight. Oh, boo, boo. I'm not celebrating the queen. Ooh, I just want to shoot this firecracker. I like the lights in the air, right? That Hispanics and Native Americans are doing right now, right? A date to remember. Da, 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 a date to remember the late queen, who was deemed the mother of Confederation, right? And in 1904, the same date was by Imperial Empire Day throughout the British Empire, right? So they took this one day, her birthday, and they made it a day to remember, right? They're saying she is the queen of the Federation, right? That same Federation that later became the government ruling Canada now, right? Over the ensuing decades, the official date in Canada of reigning sovereign's birthday changed through various royal proclamations until the haphazard format was abandoned in 1952 that year. Both Empire Day and Victoria Day were, by order in council and statutory amendment, respectively moved to the Monday before May 25th. The monarch's official birthday in Canada was by regular viceregal proclamations made to fall on the same date every year between 1953 and January 31st, 1957. When the links was made permanent by royal proclamation, the following year, Slovakia, by royal proclamation, the following year, Empire Day was renamed Commonwealth Day, right? So you got Patriots Day, you got Empire Day, you got Victoria Day, then you had Commonwealth Day, right? And in 1977, it was moved to the second Monday in March, leaving the Monday before May 25th only as both Victoria Day and the Queen's birthday. Right, so you're having a whole celebration of birthdays. Right, let's move this for a second. Right, so Officer Shariwan, are you there?
Sir.
Can you get me Leviticus 18 and 23?
Con.
Salakia, 18 and 3.
Slakia 18 and 3.
Like 18 and 3. Right? We're going to bring out some more precepts. So you're not supposed to celebrate birthdays. The Most High doesn't give a damn about your birthday. He doesn't give a damn about no oppressor's birthday. Right? You act like you woke yourself up. Right? Especially on birthdays. Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans celebrate their birthdays religiously. They make themselves God. Like if you have to. Oh my, the sisters, they put on the most revealing clothes, take pictures, put it on the internet, have parties full of full of whatever. Then they go find someone to sleep with, and that person never calls them back. Right? The birthday parties like this, like the sisters, they'll have lingerie parties on their birthday, right? And make themselves to be gods on that day. And you're not supposed to have any other god before Yahweh, right? You're not supposed to make yourself into being a god, right? That's what Pharaoh did. That's what every other nation did, right?
So
Con. No, I put myself on mute for a moment. right?
Come
So you're not supposed to be celebrating birthdays at all, but they want you to celebrate the birthday. They want you to think that celebrating birthdays is a good thing, right? So every year you are told you can celebrate birthdays. You try to celebrate the queen's birthday, and then you try to call yourself a queen and try to do some magnificent celebration to top what they do for Queen Victoria, right? You can read Leviticus 18 and 3.
Come. Leviticus 18 and verse 3. After the doings of the land of Egypt wherein ye dwell, shall ye not do. And after the doings of Slakia, and after the doings of land of Canaan, whither I bring you, shall ye not do. Neither
Right.
shall ye walk in their ordinances.
Right. You are not supposed to be celebrating your birthday, right? You're not supposed to be celebrating any birthdays, right? Pharaoh celebrated his birthday and he murdered on his birthday, right? The queen celebrates, everyone celebrates the queen's birthday. They celebrate that Edomite queen's birthday, right? And what happens to blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, right? We get murdered, right? We get murdered. All you have to do is turn on your news. I'm gonna bring it out in a second. I'm gonna bring out different articles of what happened in the last 2 days in the city of Toronto, right? That's what happens. Officer Shaw, you want to read that one more time for a second? I gotta step out for a quick second.
Khan. Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, I am Yahweh your power. Verse 3. After the doings of the land of Egypt wherein ye dwell, shall ye not do, and after the doings of land of Canaan, whither I bring you, shall ye not do, neither shall ye walk in their ordinances. Verse 4. Ye shall do my judgments and keep mine ordinances, to walk therein. I am the Lord your God. You understand? Just as Officer Zabadia was bringing out, Pharaoh had his birthday that day and committed evil. Understand? These other heathen nations, they don't have the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. You understand? They're not a wise and understanding people like the nation of Israel is. You understand? Deuteronomy 6 and 4 said that if we would do the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High, that people would look at us like a wise and understanding people, right? When we're in our rulership, when we're obeying the Most High and doing what He says, we won't be dealing with things like birthdays. We won't be dealing with things like Victoria Day and May 2-4. You understand? Like all the evils that go on these days is ridiculous. You understand? There's a sister out there in the world who, if she doesn't get what she wants on her birthday, she's gonna cry all day long. She's gonna whine and cry, and by the end of the night, she's gonna find herself in a club, pissed drunk at the back of a club. You understand? Being taken advantage of by every brother in that club, right? And this is some of the conditioning that happens to our people, right? These things just lead to a life of sin. You understand? And so, Salaki, I'm going to pass the mic back to Officer 500 Zabadia.
God, you are. I appreciate that, right? So these you're not supposed to be celebrating your birthday. You're not supposed to be celebrating any oppressor's holiday. Don't do as the Egyptians did, right? Why are we celebrating? What is British, what have the British done for us? They haven't done anything, right? The queens and the kings of the earth, they haven't done anything for blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans at all. Listen, there are billions of dollars in the earth, right? There are men who have Jeff Bezos has over $100 billion, right? There are not 100 billion people on earth. And due to white supremacy, there are less blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, right? That whole royal family has millions, billions of dollars, and they haven't given anything to the people they made their money off of. Why are you celebrating Victoria Day, right?
Yeah.
They're making money off of your blood, sweat, and tears, and you get nothing. But you're gonna go celebrate and shoot fireworks and act like it's just a day to be lawless. It's a day to act like you have no God, right? Well, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, you have a God. You have a power, right? You have you have the greatest war tactician on your side. You just got to keep his and commandments, right? We're hearing of rumors and rumors of war, right? You're seeing these wars starting to take place. You're seeing the preludes to these wars. You're seeing Amalek and Palestine go head to head, right? Palestine with their dollar store rockets, and Amalek with their dome of iron, destroying those flea market rockets, right? The Downsy flea market rockets that Palestine is shooting out, they're not doing anything. And Amalek is sniping those children from afar, right? And destroying. They destroyed a whole communications building that was for media. It was not a war base. It was not like anything where they were doing any type of military activities in that building. It was just a high rise for media, and they leveled it, right? Let's see if we can get some more of this article. Okay, so Victoria Day celebrations have been marred by major tragedy at least twice. In 1881, the passenger ferry Victoria overturned in the Thames River near London, Ontario. Right? The boat departed in the evening with 600 to 800 on board, three times the allowable passenger capacity, and capsized part way across the river, drowning some 182 individuals, including a large number of children who had been with their families for Victoria Day picnics at Springbank Park. Right? Victoria Day has always had a lot of tragedy. Right? Most workplaces in Canada are regulated by the provincial or territorial governments, therefore although Victoria Day is a statutory holiday for federal purposes, whether an employee is entitled to a paid day off generally depends on the province or the territory of residence, right? So that's the next thing. They make it so if you to get paid for Victoria Day in Canada, you have to work the Friday and the Tuesday after. If you don't work the Friday and the Tuesday after for any reason, you don't get paid. Right? It's such a it's a terrible thing because like first they're forcing you to take a day off. If you were sick on Friday, right? You didn't get paid for that Friday if you don't have paid sick days, right? And then you don't get to go to work on the Monday because they made it a holiday, right? So you're losing money,
Right.
right? And that blacks, Hispanics, and Native American, you're already poor, right? So now you get to lose money if you're sick on the Friday or you're sick on the Tuesday. Then you don't get that. You don't get to make that day up, right? And a lot of blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, you're being if you're not if you don't work in like a government place, say you work at a Dairy Queen, you have to work that day, right? They give you time and a half, but here's the kicker: that time and a half is taxed. You don't even see it, right? The more money you make, the more you get taxed, right? If you work 44 hours, you don't get as heavily taxed, right? If you make 44 hours within that week, right? Once you go past the 44 hours, you get taxed. Your taxes go up. That time and a half it disappears. It's like you just worked a regular day. You don't even see it, right? So we're gonna close that for a second. One second. Officer Shar, can you bring me to Amos 5 and 21?
Come.
When you have it, I'm going to look for. I have another article I want to bring up. This is over the weekend, right? Every time there's an oppressor's holiday, right? Every time there's an oppressor's holiday, tragedy happens in Canada, right? Some Jake neighborhood is always shot up. The violence is heavy within Toronto, right? And just you could just see it. Look at Chicago on July 4th weekend. They're gonna have damn near 200 people shot. 200 blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are gonna get shot on a July 4th weekend, right? The same thing happens in Canada. Someone's always shooting something. Someone's always firing a gun, right? There's so much oppression that they the ISUPK should be taught to every black, Hispanic, and Native American. It should be a course in every school, right?
Yeah, right.
It should be. Did you know the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are Israelites course in every school? You have that course, and you're not gonna have brothers saying, "Yo, listen, we have beef over this drug neighborhood, and we have beef because you slept over with my women, and now I have to go shoot up your neighborhood on Victoria Day." Let's give a shout out to the crowd right quick. Hey, Shalom, Baraka Allah, no sweat, get back in when you can. Daughter of Zion, Baraka Shalom Yahweh Shemai Alatha Hashem Ashai. Right, the water for tuning in. If you got any questions regarding this subject, type your questions in. If you're tuning in, just hit that like, subscribe, and share button. Right? Add your comments. Don't be afraid to comment. Add your comments in the chat. Right? Let's not forget General YAHANNA, Black Watch, Monday night, 9 p.m. Right? Coming up real soon. Yeah, let me get what I was looking for. Right, so every year there's going to be a shooting on these holidays, on these holidays where it's not of the Bible, right? This Victoria Day is not in Leviticus 23rd. We just had Passover. Feast of First Fruits is coming up June 21st. that is a day to be celebrated, right? We might shoot some firecrackers on the Feast of First Fruits, right? But we will not shoot firecrackers Victoria Day, right? It's unlawful. Oh, there it is, right? And as I said it, when was this? Yesterday? Yesterday, there was shots fired in the Jane and Finch community. No surprise. This happens when you don't know who you are. Right? Let me see if I can get this rolling right quick. Right, Officer Shariwan, you can hit me with that Amos 5 and 21. If you got any comments, type them in. If you're watching and you are learning new information, just hit a one in the chat. Right, let's get this chat more interactive. Right, let us know where you're watching from. Let us know what you think about these holidays. Type in your Victoria Day experiences.
Salakia Adawan, I got that verse when you're ready.
Khan, you could read it.
Come. Amos chapter 5 and verse 21. I hate, you despise your feast days, and I will not smell in your solemn.
Salakia, read that one more time from the top.
I hate, I despise your feast days.
The Most High hates today, right? He hates that his children are celebrating the slave master.
Right.
He hates the slave master's dates. How are you going to put up, like, what the hell is going on in the Black, Hispanic, and Native American community? Last year, you put up black screens on Instagram trying to protest the killing of a brother. Right now, you're outside talking about, I'm having a picnic. I'm shooting fireworks, right? You are destroying your children. You're going to make them love the oppressor, right? You're going to make them love your oppressor so much that by the time you turn around, because you're not in this school, your child is going to be in some alley somewhere smoking weed. It's going to go from weed to Molly, Xannies, and Perks. Then they're going to be a full-blown crackhead, right? Your daughter is going to be somewhere talking about, I'm shooting firecrackers with the boys. Then she's going to slowly be smoking weed with them. She's going to come home pregnant, right? She's going to, unthinkable things are going to happen to your children, right? Because you don't love them enough to teach them they're not supposed to be celebrating these days, right? You got to get in this school and fight that Christianity. If you're shooting fireworks, you are a goddamn Christian, right? And you have to fight your flesh, right? Don't be out there shooting fireworks in the name of some oppressor, right? Read that one more time from the top, Officer Shariwan.
I hate, I despise your feast days.
Right. Read.
And I will not smell in your solemn assembly.
He's not smelling that steak you have on the grill, those hot dogs, right? He's not smelling that. None of the weed you're smoking this weekend. Every Black, Hispanic, and Native American brother, they sat in a big group smoking all the weed they could smoke, right? Trying to sleep with the next man's wife, doing all of that just to say you're celebrating something that you have no idea what you're celebrating, right? You gotta wake the hell up, right? You gotta wake the hell up. You have to come home. General YAHANNA put out the decree for every Israelite to come home. The UPK is your home, It's the only place you'll learn a sense of morality. It's the only place that will turn men into men again, right? You gotta be an angry black man again. You can't be so quick to show your teeth to the oppressor, right? You're gonna spend Salakia. Listen, as a youth, there was times when I'll speak for myself. I myself spent damn near $300 on fireworks this weekend alone, right? And that's when we started getting money, and Lord knows how we were getting the money. Let's just be real. Lord knows how we were getting the money, right? And when we didn't have money, what do you think, Officer Shah, you want? What does every black, Hispanic, and Native American child do for fireworks when they don't have the money to get the fireworks?
Oh, Salakia, I don't want you make that happen.
You make it happen. Do we have to elaborate? Do I have to tell you how you make fireworks happen?
Salakia, I don't want, if I may.
Con.
Khan, Salakia. So, you know what I mean? Growing up in the society, and you see everybody around you, and they just look like they have so much, like they're so blessed. You know what I
Right,
mean? Meanwhile, you're at home, you know what I mean, eating the food that your mom brought home with the food stamps. And it's
right,
like there's so much when we're not raised the right way, or we're not raised to understand these laws, statutes, and commandments. It's so easy to covet what everybody around us has. You know what I mean? So when times like Victoria Day comes up, or you see somebody eating a steak that you've never had, it's like there's such a strong desire to go after it. You know what I mean? There's such a strong desire to steal or sell something illegal, or you know what I mean? Do what you have to do to get it. And that's how it
right,
was for us growing up.
right. And you know what? That is such a heavy point that you bring up, because growing up black, Hispanic, and Native American in the ghetto and reserve, you don't have a lot of fun. There aren't a lot of happy days, right? We make our happy days happening, right?
That's
We
right.
literally find anything to have a happy day. Growing up in Lawrence Heights, we didn't have those basketball nets, right? We would go into Amalek's neighborhood and we would take basketball nets. Salakia. Now, don't go into Amalek's neighborhood and take basketball nets. Let Amalek have his basketball nets. We're going to be having Amalek play basketball with boulders in the kingdom, right? I want to see you hit that Steph Curry shot from half court with this 300-pound rock, and you better hit it. Salakia, right? So when we didn't have those basketball nets, we literally cut out the milk cart. You know the square milk carton? We cut that out and put that up onto a light post, and that's how we played basketball. How do you think every black, Hispanic, and Native American who plays ball from Canada is so good? We are shooting on milk carts, right? Now, as I was saying, like we because we don't have a lot of happy days, and there's a lot of suffering that we go through. We When days like Victoria Day come around, we're just so happy to to shoot off fireworks, right? Now, you have men who are now in their 20s and 30s who they're going around rival neighborhoods and shooting them up on Victoria Day, right? I'm gonna let you know why this is happening, because for the last 20 years, right? The last 20 years, every Canada Day, every Victoria Day, the Blacks, Hispanic, and Native American community, they get fireworks, and they divide the community in half, and they have fireworks shootouts. They literally shoot firecrackers at each other. It gets to a point, and this is how you know that's what they're doing. You will see Black, Hispanic, and Native American children in a full jean suit in the dead of summer with a JanSport bag full of firecrackers. The firecrackers bounce off the jean and they don't burn like it's going to be track pants, right? They learn that. They keep doing that their whole teenage life. And then when it comes to being an adult, they've already been shooting up these neighborhoods from when they were teenagers, right? It was with firecrackers. In your adulthood, it becomes real guns, right? And that's how you get so much uh, violence in the cities, right? I remember myself, like we couldn't wait to get the firecrackers, right? You don't even want the ones with the American label on it. You want the ones with the Moab label on it because they shoot longer, they have more shots, they're more colorful, they make more noise, right? And that's what we did, right? You fast forward, now every Black, Hispanic, and Native American is shooting real guns at each other and murdering each other because the firecrackers ain't enough anymore, right? Now, let's show you what the hell I'm talking about. Right, I gotta show you because like this is I.S.U.P.K, the home of the truth. It is not the home of cowards, right? This is where you learn the truth. This is where you learn not to lie to your children and not to have them shooting firecrackers, right? You gotta fight your spirit. Like who? Oh, Lord knows what Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are doing right now, especially if they're not in this class. Especially if they're not in this class right now, Lord knows what the hell they're doing. Right, so hold up. This is CP24.com, right? This is a shooting that happened yesterday. Shot fight in North York, Jaden 6, right? And it's always the same. So let's figure it out. Right? Breaking news.
We begin with breaking news from North York tonight about reports of multiple gunfire. Let's go live to CP24's Mark Liverman, who has arrived at the scene. Mark, what more can you tell us about what happened here tonight?
Yeah, Courtney, we just landed at the scene here a few minutes ago. We're near the 400 and Steeles Avenue. I can tell you there is a very heavy police presence in the distance here at this apartment complex. Unclear at this point exactly what led to this. We also don't know if there were any injuries in this shooting, but we heard originally there were reports of multiple shots fired in this area. At this point, I can tell you, I've counted what looks like maybe a dozen or so cop cars that are on scene. They've got crime scene tape up around a section of parking lot in this apartment complex itself. I also noticed at least 5 evidence markers with what looks like possibly shell casings next to them on the pavement in this parking lot as well. We've also seen a heavy police presence kind of going towards the back area of part of this complex. Even within the last few minutes, we saw them what looks like speaking to neighbors, possibly witnesses in this area as well. We were hearing at one point that there were reports of vehicles, multiple vehicles that had been shot at, but we just don't know. We also heard reports of people fleeing this area earlier this evening as well, but that's something that we're still working to confirm at this point. But again, a very heavy police presence here. We're seeing these evidence that are on the pavement, and we're seeing officers speaking to some people in the distance here behind the crime scene tape, Courtney. Back to you.
Mark Liverman on this breaking news we're following closely tonight. Mark, thank you for the update.
Right. So there you have it, right? That was last night in the Jane community. That's the north end of the city, the northwest end of the city. that is a heavy Black, Hispanic, and Native American area, right? And what happened? Shots fired, right? Barakatha Yahweh shot for no injuries of Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, right? It's something that happens all the time, right? And every year, it's always the same. Either people are testing their guns or a rival neighborhood is coming up to shoot somebody, right? And luckily, there was like, only because of Yahweh, there was no tragedy. There was no tragedies only because of Yahweh, right? And usually there are many children in these neighborhoods, but because there's so many shootings going on in the city right now, it's like no one is outside in the neighborhoods at the moment, right? Like you'll see children, but you won't really see as much children outside as you would have seen like 3-4 years ago. Even even 2 years ago, you're not seeing as much children as you would see outside, and that's because Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, they don't know who they are, right? They think they could just celebrate the oppressor, right? What are we gonna bring? Officer Shaw, you want to bring me to Ecclesiastes, verse 1 and Philakia, chapter 7 and 1.
Come. This is Ecclesiastes chapter 7 and verse 1. A good name is better than precious ointment, and the day of death
Right? So
than
hold
the
that
day
right
of
there. You, Salakia, you want a good name, right? You want a Hebrew name. You want a name that has no sins attached to it, right? You get that when you come into the I.S.U.P.K. The old Jew dies, right? The old Jew literally dies, and you start to get you a name, and that's better than the precious ointment, right? Read.
and the day of death than the day of one's birth.
Right. Your birthday is nothing. Your birthday is like you're having a whole birthday party for what? Like who cares? Right? It wasn't Yahweh's the one who brought you into the earth. Right? You didn't do it. It's just like when the Lord's angels told Sarah that he's going to return onto her in the time of life, right? Salaki, I'm paraphrasing, but when she was giving birth, that's when the Lord is going to come back. He's going to help her go through that and bring Isaac into the world, right? Your day of death, read that one more time, Baba Kashar.
It is better to go to the house of mourning.
Right, read it
Salaki,
from the top, Baba Kashar.
come. Verse 1. A good name is better than precious ointment, and the day of death than the day of one's birth.
Right. So your day of death it's better than the day of one's birth, right? You kill that old self. Salaki. Read verse 2.
Verse 2. It is better to go to the house of mourning than to go to the house of
Read.
feasting, for that is the
Read.
end of all men, and the living will lay it to his heart.
Right. So it's better to go to the house of mourning than to be feasting on a day making yourself a god. Right? You are not gods, right? Now that's what Victoria Day is. You're celebrating the queen, making her a god. You're making her into something that should be celebrated, right? Christ called the Moabite Salakia. Christ called the Syrophoenician woman a dog, right? He didn't say, "Oh, I'm going to celebrate your birthday." He called her a dog, right? You can't be celebrating your oppressor talking about I'm shooting firecrackers, right? That was a one-off, I guess, right? We had a shooting in Jane Finch. That must have been a one-off. Let's find out what was happening in Nova Scotia. Let's check the news in Nova Scotia to see what was happening. Right? And you're gonna find out that everywhere blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are, whenever there is a holiday of so-called oppressors, there's some type of violence. Violence is associated with every oppressor's holiday. Right? So I got one more. Right? So this was yesterday as well. Right? Man in hospital after shooting in Pigtown, Nova Scotia. RCMP are investigating a shooting that took place early Monday morning in Pigtown, Nova Scotia, and sent a 32-year-old man to a hospital. In a news release, police officers responded to the reports of a shooting just before 12:30 a.m. at a commercial lodging. It is said a 32-year-old man was taken to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Right. Spokesperson Sergeant Andrew Joyce described a commercial lodging as a hotel, motel, or inn. The news release said there was a heavy police presence in the area Monday as the investigation continued. Police believe the people involved are known to each other. That's to show you right there. Every holiday, every oppressor's holiday, there's always violence. Right? Shout out to Sister Kalpa. Shalom Yahweh Shamar Al-Shab Hashem Al-Shai. Throughout the tuning in, sis. Right? If you're watching, hit that like button. Don't forget, Command General YAHANNA will be going live with the heavy hitters in a moment. Right? Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, with all the zeal that you put into celebrating the oppressor, you have to put that same zeal into celebrating Passover, into celebrating first fruit, into keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, into building this brotherhood and this sisterhood, right? Because you don't know what it's like to be loved until you've been in the I.S.U.P.K. I've seen sisters that rarely get to see each other, right, on Facebook, shouting each other out and showing the most love. I felt love from brothers that I've never seen in my life. Never seen them. Never met them. I've never given them that. As soon as I turn on my PlayStation and I go into my war zone, man, I turn it on and it's like, Zabaja, where you been? I'm like, well, damn, like this that felt good, like shit, right? And you just feel the love. You feel this brotherhood, right? Like that, you gotta have that kind of zeal. You got all the zeal you have for buying the fireworks. You want to line up and you want to go into that Arab's truck and give him all your money for fireworks when you should be putting all your money into the school, right? Now imagine if every black, Hispanic, and Native American said we are not buying fireworks, right? And we're going to use that money and give it to the school, right? And we're going to use that money and start up a business, right? We're going to use that money to build schools in our neighborhoods and make sure that that there are no starving children, and there are all the children get basketball shoes, right? Get running shoes so they can play their sports and they can exercise. Just imagine how, like, think about that. That's how you build up a community. You all right? Salakia. Let's get Matthew 14 and 6. Salakia, yeah, you can get me Matthew 14 and 6. Over to Shah.
Khan. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 14 and verse 6. But when Herod's birthday was kept, the daughter of Herodias danced before them and pleased Herod.
Right? You can keep reading.
Verse 7. Whereupon he promised with an oath to give her whatsoever she would ask.
Right. So there was a point where Herod took his brother's wife. Right. At this same time, John the Baptist is in the dungeons. Right. He's in jail because he told Herod that you cannot sleep with your brother's wife. And just like you tell anybody who's committing a crime they can't commit a crime, they get angry. Right. Herod is not an Israelite. And this time they had Edomites above us, right? And I'm gonna have to confirm with the men above me, but I think Herod's mother was an Israelite, and he's like a Bob Marley. He looked like us, but he wasn't us, right? Keep reading, Baba Kashan.
Verse 8. And she, being before instructed of her mother, said, give me here John Baptist's head in a charger.
Hold up.
Ver-
Right? So her mother was evil. Her mother wanted to see John the Baptist hit his head in a basket because he told them that what they're doing they shouldn't be doing. Right? And just like any Christian, you tell any Christian they're doing what they're not supposed to be doing, they're going to say it doesn't align with my spirit. You are upsetting my spirit.
Okay.
Right? And 9 times out of 10, they'll just call the cops on you and say you're doing something you're not supposed to be doing at camp. They're going to say, they're talking loud and being rude to me. We need this to stop. And they'll call the cops. The cops will come to the campsite, and the cops will say, well, listen, they're not doing anything wrong. They're just reading the Bible. Right? One thing that I've heard that a man above me said to me, and the police work for us, right? Like when the Lord is on our side, they can't do anything to us. They could try, they come up against us, and we're not no fake camp, so they leave us alone. They know those are the men of the Lord over there. They're not doing anything wrong. We gotta leave them. We don't get scared, right? We don't cower. Read.
Come. Verse 9. And the king was sorry. Nevertheless, for the other's sake, and them which sat with him at meat, he commanded it to be given her.
Right. So the king did not want John the Baptist's head cut off, right? He didn't want that at the moment. He knew who John the Baptist was. Right? Read.
Verse 10. And he sent and beheaded John in the prison.
Right. So regardless, because you've seen this in the mobster movies, right? Where when the mob boss his daughter is getting married, you can go to them and ask him for any favor, and that's what they did, right? Edomites have been doing this since forever, right? The heathen nations have been doing this same practice since forever. in times of celebratory fashion, you can go and ask them for a favor, right? You bestow a gift on them and you ask them for a favor and they grant it. Read.
Con. Verse 11. And his head was brought in a charger and given to the damsel, and she brought it to her mother.
Right. And this all happened on the king's birthday, right? And as we went into the articles earlier, violence is always associated with birthdays and with the heathen nations' celebrations. Let's jump over to 9. Right? Bring me to Matthew 15 and 7, Mother Michelle.
Con. This is Matthew chapter 15 and verse 7. Ye hypocrites, well did Isaiah prophesy of you, saying, this people draweth nigh unto me with their mouth, and honoreth me with their lips, but their heart is far from me.
Right, hold that. These people, y'all, Christians, if you're not in the I.S.U.P.K, you're a Christian. Straight up and down. You're not in this school with us, you're a Christian. Right? And your Christian heart says, I love God. Jesus! That's what your Christian heart says. Right? You say that with your lips. With your heart, you stuff your face with pork. You stuff your face with all the shrimp and lobster. You look at your brother's wife and you have lustful thoughts. And most of you, you'll act on it. Right? You Christians are disgusting. You Christians need to get in the school. Right? You need to learn discipline. Learn to put away the culture of the oppressors. Right? Read.
Con. Verse 9. But in vain do they worship me, teaching for doctrines the commandments of men.
Right. So they teach for doctrines the commandments of men. Right? Victoria Day is the commandment of men. And that's a doctrine. The doctrine is you got to shoot the firecrackers. You have to have the burgers and the Sprite, and everyone gather, and it's Victoria Day. Let's just have a barbecue. You don't know why you're having a barbecue. You could listen. Gather with us on the Feast of First Fruits, and let's barbecue then. Right? The I.S.U.P.K is going to be having cookouts, and that's the perfect time to have a barbecue. Tap in with the prophets. Check in with us. Right? That's the perfect time to have a barbecue. There's no need to be having a barbecue on Victoria Day. Right? Unfortunately, tragedy is going to happen tonight. Somewhere in Canada where they're celebrating Victoria Day, some Black, Hispanic, and Native Americans going to get shot. Some Black, Hispanic, and Native Americans going to go to jail. Some tragedy is going to happen to some sister. And it's a sad thing, but it happens every year. And the only way it's not happening is if she comes or he comes into this school. Right? And you gotta be prepared to just shut up and listen. Right? I know it sounds harsh, but Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, you need the harsh. You need to hear that whatever you want, whatever your heart desires, is not what you're supposed to be doing.
That's right.
You want days to celebrate, just go to the 23rd chapter of Leviticus. Those days you can celebrate. Hit me up, hit up Officer Shayuan, Officer Slakia, Officer Bond, Officer Adiyar. Hit us up and we'll tell you what days to celebrate. Right? We'll show you which days to celebrate. Again, Feast of First Fruits is coming up June 21st. that is the day to celebrate. That, like last year, we had Feast of First Fruits, man. The food was so amazing.
That's right.
Hopefully, we can get with Montreal, or Montreal can get with us this year, and we all link up and have a celebrate Feast of First Fruits, because that's what we have to observe. We have to observe Feast of First Fruits. It's been a while since we've seen our brothers and sisters in Montreal, right? It's been a long while, and it like we need to see our brothers and sisters, right? We want to keep this brotherhood going strong, right? The other day, a couple of my Montreal brothers, they hit me up and they said, "Salakia, Atuan, what's going on?" And I said, I'm on the slavery," and they said, "Well, we're fishing," and I said, "Yeah, right now I'm trying to make the drive. That 5 hour drive, I'll be there in 3 hours. So I'm saving it up right now." Salakia, like that's what the I.S.U.P.K represents. It represents brotherhood, right? They didn't call me up and say, "Officers of budget, we're gonna go ride on some blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. We're gonna go kill one of our brothers." They
That's
said,
right.
"We're fishing. You should be here with us." And I'm like, "Yeah, soon. Soon as these oppressors stop being scared, I'm gonna be on the first. I'm gonna be on that highway, flying east, right?" Salaki, what else do we got? Officer Shayuan, bring me the precept that talks about setting one day above another. Who sets one day above another? Let me see if I can find it.
Come.
Let's see if I can find it. Hold up.
Salakia, other one
Khan,
is Romans chapter 14 and verse 5.
read it.
This is the book of Romans chapter 14 and verse 5. One man esteemeth one day above another. Another esteemeth every day alike. Let every man be fully persuaded in his own mind.
Read verse 6.
Verse 6. He that regardeth the day regardeth it unto the Lord. And he that regardeth not the day, to the Lord he doth not regard it. He that
Salakia, yeah, we could use that one, right? You gotta Salakia, you gotta regard the Lord's days, right? Salakia, Officer Shariwan, there's another one that kind of matches this precept. I'm looking for Salakia. What is it? The Lord set these days. One second, I'm gonna find it right now. Give me 1 second. I got it somewhere in my precept book. Right? We're looking for the Lord. He's the one who esteemeth the days, or sets a day above another. God, let's find Daniel 7:25. That's what we want. Daniel 7:25.
this is the book of Daniel, chapter 7 and verse 5.
25. Salakia.
Khan. Verse 25. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws.
No, we don't want that one. Let's get Ecclesiastes. Where is it? Ecclesiasticus 38:8. Is that it? Ecclesiastes 33 in the book shop. Yeah, that's what I want. Ecclesiastes 33:7, Baba Shah. That's what I want right there.
Khan, this is the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 33 and verse 7. Why doth one day excel another, when as all the light...
Hold up. That's a question. Why does one day excel another? Right? What makes one day greater than the next day? What makes Passover weekend greater than any other weekend? Right? Read.
When as all the light of every day in the year is of the sun.
Right? All the light for the weekends, it comes that's from the sun, right? The sun rises and we get light. So now it's daytime. Read.
Verse 8. By the knowledge of the Lord they were distinguished.
Right. By the knowledge of the Lord, these days were distinguished, right? Because of the Lord, we know we have to celebrate the Passover. Because of the Lord, we know we have to observe the Sabbath. Because of the Lord, we know we have to observe the Feast of First Fruits. Right? Read.
And he altered seasons and feasts.
Right. So the Lord altered seasons and feasts, right? The Victoria Day celebration is not a season, right, to be feasting. Like, what the hell are you thinking about, right? How are you going to say you hate oppression and celebrate your own slavery? Make it make effing sense. You're not making sense. Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, who the hell are you? Ask yourself that question. What did you celebrate before the slave ships? What did you celebrate before all the molestation in the residential schools? That's what you have to ask yourself, right? Before Michael Jordan was taking jump shots in the league, before the NBA 2021 playoffs, what were you celebrating? What was your culture? Is your culture twerking, rap videos, and basketball? Is that the only thing you know? Is your culture taking the Glock 9s and filling them up and going to kill your brothers and sisters? Is that the only thing you know? Who taught you to kill yourself? Right? Read verse 8 one more time.
By the knowledge of the Lord they were distinguished. And he altered seasons and feasts.
Right? And he altered seasons and feasts. Passover, Feast of First Fruit, right? Salakia, Officer Shaywan, give me some more high holy days that we celebrate.
Khan, sir, the Passover, Feast of Unleavened Bread,
Right.
Feast of Dedication,
Right.
Feast of Tabernacles, or the Feast of
Right.
Tents.
See, Officer Shaywan knows. You got to get like Officer Shaywan, right? I watched this man raise up from a young man, asking hella questions, and even when I would talk to him, he'd say, "Listen, I'm just here to learn." He wasn't trying to teach as a young man. He wanted to know what the hell is going on. He learned it, and now look at him. He's an officer of 50. He can teach you how to speak Hebrew, right? He can teach you what to add and what to take out. He can teach you brotherhood in the law class, right? He's there with me every Sabbath, right? This is because we got in the I.S.U.P.K and we learned the things that we were supposed to learn from the men above us. right? Read verse 9, Baba Kashan.
Come. Some of them hath he made high days, and hallowed them.
Some of them he made high holy days, days that we have to celebrate and hallow them. Some of our days are even memorial days that we remember for the pain, right? We remember what Esther did for us during the Feast of Purim, and that was a good sister. And you won't, man, Salakia. You sisters in the world, y'all gotta step your effing game up. Straight up. The sisters in the UPK, those are excellent sisters, right? Those
Yeah.
That's why we have memorial days. We have certain memorial days for brothers and sisters who did work, who sacrificed, and they didn't care whether they died, right? Esther said, if she dies, she dies. Right? And
Right.
that's how a sister's supposed to be. She's supposed to put herself Salakia, put her peoples first, right? She's supposed to put her peoples first and not care about if she dies for her people. Listen, myself, if I could give my life to see blacks, Hispanics in rulership under Yahawashi on the earth right now, I'd be gone. I wouldn't even be teaching class tomorrow. Like as soon as this class is done, I'm gone. Take me up. Right? Just to see my brothers and sisters in rulership under Yahawashi. Right? Was that the end of the verse?
Sir.
You could finish it out.
And some of them hath he made ordinary days.
Right? So the Most High, he made high holy days and memorial days, and he made ordinary days. Right? So with that said, Victoria Day is unlawful. If you have firecrackers in your children's, if you have not firecrackers, but those sparklers in your children's hands, right? You have firecrackers in the backyard right now, and you're shooting them off. Shame on you. Put away the culture of your oppressor. Stop loving your goddamn slave master. It's like, what the hell are you doing? Right? It's time to wake up. Stop being a child. Stop being so weak. Right? Get in this class, get in this school. Right? Again, I'm Officer of 500 Zabaja of the I.S.U.P.K under Commanding General Yohanna. With me, I have Officer 50 Shariwan. Again, shout out to the chat. We got Trooper Barakia Allah. We got Daughter of Zion. Right? We have Sister Kaupa. The water for tuning in. Hit that like button. Again, this has been another Monday night history class. I'm going to hand the class over to Officer 50 Shariwan. Clap it up. Don't forget to hit that sign in and sign out link. I'm going to drop the sign out link right now in the chat. And after, go check out Commanding General Yohanna. Black Watch is going to be going live. I believe it's already live, right? Go check out Black Watch. I'm going to hand the class over to Officer 50 Shariwan.
Clap it up. This is the I.S.U.P.K security announcements. We are the I.S.U.P.K, start out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Rule for new brother and sisters. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There's another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After this 6-month period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. You can find it in Numbers 18:21 and Malachi chapter 3, verses 8 to 10. Ma'ashra means tenth in the Hebrew. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you, give to the Treasury Department or teacher. Priest fund. Free will offering for priests is not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you would like to give. Upcoming holy convocations. June 21st, we got the Feast of First Fruits. You can contact Officer of 500 Zabadia for Canada, or you can contact your camp leader in Canada. That's Officer of 5,000 Aban. With that said, we're going to give a courtesy salute to the brothers and a courtesy salute to the sisters. Men of Israel, Imajim Shabbat, Salakia. Men of Israel, Imajim, which means stand. Men of Israel, Imajim Shabbat, Imajim, Barak, Yahweh Shem Yahshai Brakatham, to all the brothers. Yad Yamatah, which means hands down. We're going to give a courtesy salute to the sisters. Men of Israel, Imajim Shabbat, Imajim, Barak, Yahweh Shamar Alatha Ba'Shem Yahushai, Yad Yamatah. Class dismissed.